Hello everybody, this is a Lamley Showcase preview of the next Hot Wheels Diorama set. I'm calling it the Holy Trinity. Our friend Ron Wong, who basically designed this set and put it together, also calls it the Holy Trinity. I mean, do we call this the GT1 GTR set? Do we call, I don't know what this, the official name of this set is because they never put it on there. I guess we can call it what we want to. Maybe I'll get an official name and I'll put it in the title of this video, but ultimately it is the Holy Trinity, also known as the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR, the 97 Porsche 911 GT1, and the McLaren F1. Now this is the F1, not the GTR. I'm thinking with the Holy Trinity, maybe it is the F1 GTR, but I'm not complaining because we have three fabulous models, all themed up not only as this amazing trio, but also in the same color. Now we have noticed, and I have gotten a sense of this in talking to Ron, who not only designs a lot of these models, but has also worked on developing the diorama sets. If you remember the last time I featured a diorama set, I went through all of them and kind of asked if they were worth it. And my feeling was no carryovers. We have a carryover in this one, that's the Mercedes-Benz, but also like give us a tight theme, something that that really makes sense as opposed to, I don't know, racing and you have like, or, you know, I don't know. It seemed like they were losing their way just a little bit. And when you're asking someone to spend this much money on a set like this and you're putting in a boat and a Citroen van, as cool as a Citroen van is, but asking almost 30 bucks for that, it's just not going to work. But the MR2 set that came out before this one and this set, the Holy Trinity set, that's an entirely different story. I've also seen a couple of other sets that are coming and they follow these lines, like tighter themes. The models make sense, so if you're going to display them as is without opening, or if you're going to cut them open and just get the models out, I guess that doesn't matter. But we're just getting a better sense of these sets. So, want to show this one off. I've got a car show. I got a good car show in the second part of this video, but let's get right to it. I've already kind of shown you a little bit of it. I already showed you the back of this set. We're calling it the Holy Trinity. Like I said, if there's another one, I'll figure it out. I didn't even mention the hauler. It is the Fleet Street in plain black. We're just getting nice, clean cars. Now, I think ultimately what's cool about this, and I think what fits with having the F1 here, as opposed to the GTR, but I think, wasn't there a GTR? Wasn't there a street version of the F1 GTR? Maybe there wasn't, I don't know. But you're getting street versions of legendary race cars, right? The CLK GTR, and this was like for the racing specs, for racing qualifications, right? They had to have street versions of these cars. And so what ends up happening is the CLK GTR is one of the most collectible, most expensive cars ever. I don't even know what a 911 GT1 goes for on the road these days. But you're not going to see them. These are triple take cars. They would be at car shows. They're in multi-cajillionaires collections, and you see them maybe coming out at like certain car events and things like that. I mean, these are special cars that are the street versions of special race cars. And the fact that Hot Wheels did this one is fabulous. So, showing you all the packaging if you want that. I assume this is coming out very soon. Obviously, Mattel sent this one to me, wrapped in bubble wrap. But what we need to do is just open it and get through these models. So that's what we're going to do. Enough talk. But let's get this one cut open. Try and open it cleanly, although we are going to pretty much destroy these. And get this one pulled out. So we will move this over there. And let's just have a look at the models. The background, just a nice, almost looks like what would be a private garage. And then here are the models. I'll just show them off to you so you can just get a sense. No more glare of the packaging, just the models themselves. I do like that it's just grays and blacks in the background, because that's what fits here with the black hauler and the models. But there's the Mercedes. That is the carry forward. It was in a Team Transport set, right? And then you get the Porsche, which is a brand new casting by Ron, which I cannot wait to open. I think we've had a GT1 before, and we saw it in several lines, including I think the last time was Speed Machines, but this one's going to be a better version, I think. And then as the sun comes out, there is the McLaren F1. We've seen it in basic in this silver. Now we get it in premium, which I'm very, very excited about. So what we got to do is we got to cut some fingers. Hopefully not. And we've got to see what... We got to get these models open, and we got to get them on the turntable, and then we'll get to the car show. All right, here we are. I've done all the work. Let's start with the hauler. It's pretty clean. I mean, actually really like it. We saw this with the Lamborghini, just a clean hauler. I mean, this would be an unmarked supercar hauler. Now, of course, it's open, so the car on the back would obviously generate a lot of attention. If this one were driving on the freeway or you were passing on the highway, you would not notice the hauler at all, would you? You would just be looking at the car on the back if it was any of these three, right? Most likely this is going to be hauled in a box truck, but whatever. It is clean. It is beautiful. I like the choice of wheels here. It actually has a good realistic element to it. One thing that I will notice too, which is kind of nice here, is because this has kind of a moving part, you know, it's something that's kind of removable, is it does go back like this, and we can actually put the cars on here. So let's start with the one carry forward. It is the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. Absolutely adore this casting. Started in Boulevard, moved over to Team Transport. Now we've got it as the same plain road version. No complaints about the road version. That Team Transport I never saw. I was able to get my own version or my own example of it, but I never saw it on the pegs. It was very popular. So this, if there's going to be a carry forward, I think this is a proper one. And this is one of just one of the fabulous Hot Wheels models. Now, I would have actually loved to see this one without the spoiler, but I think considering it started as a race car in a racing livery, I think this one works. But someone could modify it without the spoiler. But it's super, super clean. We can go ahead. It might be a little bit of a bumpy ride for this getting on the hauler. But there it is. And then we can, it's not perfect, but there we go. Snap in. And we can put it on the turntable with the hauler too. In fact, as a matter of fact, now that I'm doing this, and when I shoot these little scenes, maybe I will shoot, you can get a sense of the hauler just shooting it with these supercars on top, because that looks pretty fabulous. Now I'm going to be, you know, nice and realistic, and I'm going to let this one just scrape and get on that Supercar Fails Instagram, because people saw it backing up and it scraped as it went to the bottom and whatever. All right, let's get to the McLaren F1. Yeah, I'm still debating. What do you think, F1 or F1 GTR? I think Ron can maybe weigh in on this one too, but I'm not complaining about the F1. The F1 casting is the better casting of the two when it comes to Hot Wheels, only because the F1 GTR is kind of the, if they did it now, we'd probably get same size wheels, and maybe one day they could do it, and it still looks really, really good. I still think it's an all-time Hot Wheels casting. Started in Speed Machines, and we've seen it in Basic. Premium a little bit. Maybe we'll see it in the car show. But ultimately, I really do like this this version of the F1. I think it's nice and clean, and if we're doing street versions of these cars, obviously this one fits in very, very nicely. Not much to say other than the details are all there. Maybe the rims are a little modern on the modern side, but that's okay. So we'll put it here on the, I'm gonna get up on the truck, snap that in. Let's give it some time in the on the turntable, on the truck as well. It just looks so good. And you know what? When you're putting these together, I do like this as a set, the black hauler with the silver cars. Ron puts a lot of thought into these. I know all the Hot Wheels designers do. I don't want to cut anyone short, but sell anyone short. Is that what I need to say? Anyway, but Ron does a really, really nice job. Just he is supercar obsessed, and so he's going to hit the right combinations when it comes to that. You know, we've had certain designers. You know, right now, you know, Brendan with American Muscle and classic cars, of course. Ron with supercars, you know, Junimai and Ryo Asada. We've seen Anton, some others that are really leaning into the JDM side of things. Anyway, it's really kind of cool to see Ron getting to do his supercars. And speaking of, oh, you know, I didn't do this one properly. This one backs up a little bit nicer. There we go. But speaking of, here is the new casting, the one that everyone is excited about. It is the 1997 Porsche 911 GT1. I don't have an example of the old casting, but I don't need it. Look at this thing. It is stunning. I can put it up close. I just want to show you some of the details in the back here, and then we will put it on the turntable. You get a plastic spoiler. I'm all for plastic spoilers. I think they're cleaner. You see that you can, Ron was able, I mean, I don't know if it was Van or if it was Christina who did the deco on this, but Ron did design it so that we can get the tail lights within all of that going on in the back, which is super, super nice. You get detailing in the, I think that's in the casting. Yeah, that's not plastic. That's in the metal, I think. That's amazing. That's beautifully detailed. Of course, side profile. This thing sits ultra low. It's very heavy too. It's a very heavy casting. The side mirrors are fabulous. The front grille with those somewhat mixed reaction headlights, I think is the shape, but I just think it looks so good on this one. This is just a legendary Porsche, and it looks amazing as it's on the turntable. Yeah, I really want to mention how heavy this is. This casting's insane, and there's just angles on it, especially from a low angle, that this is really, really good. This is really, really good. All right, let's, I mean, I almost feel like it has to go backwards, but we're just gonna scrape it up, as, you know, not literally, but as it goes onto the hauler. Snap it in, get it on the turntable. Sun popped out nice and bright. That doesn't matter, you're looking at it on the turntable on the hauler, and it looks good. This is a great set. I don't mind this carryover. I do mind carryovers in general. I don't mind this carryover because the casting is fabulous, but the Porsche, this is the highlight, and it's worth the price just for the Porsche. And what's cool is I'm assuming that we will see this pop up here very soon in a racing livery, but I'm so happy with these that we are going to get, that we have street versions now. I would love an F1 GTR street version, but I almost feel like the casting could be redone, but that's a conversation for another time. There you go. Well, no, let's get to the car show, right? All right, it's time for the car show, and I've got a good one. It's a bit random. I just wanted to go because these cars, all three of them, the McLaren F1, the Porsche 911 GT1, and of course the CLK GTR, the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR, all are like legacy cars, legacy racing cars from the 90s, which is awesome. It's great to see 90s cars, but I just decided to kind of see where Hot Wheels was, and I just picked one casting from each, well, one of each casting, because there's been several, just from a racing standpoint. So if we've got our old Lamley JCCS car show mat out from Dream Customs, why not create a little car show? So we'll start with McLaren, because McLaren, we've got a lot of more modern McLarens, but we don't have a lot of racing liveries. Like, we don't have the Senna in a racing livery, of course the P1, some of these others. Nothing from a racing standpoint, but I did, of course, have to pull out the F1 GTR. Now, I could have pulled out the Speed Machines. I actually stayed in premium, so that was one of the limitations here. So this is, I think they've done a couple of Golf McLaren GT1s from the Golf set. This one is from the that British set. I can't remember what it was called. But of course, I mean, the F1 is definitely the origin of the F1 GTR. I love the F1 GTR with the spoiler, and I really love this casting, although I do feel they could maybe redesign it. Maybe Ron, if you're looking at it, you could redesign it for premium with the spoiler all decked out. But underrepresented, the F1 GTR in premium with racing liveries. I mean, they've done some tribute liveries in basic and stuff, and of course, like the F1 GTR in Speed Machines was fabulous. But I'm fabulous. But I wanted to kind of, obviously, don't ignore this stuff here. But obviously, I wanted to include that. And then, like I said, there's not much in terms of McLaren racing if I'm not thinking of anything. But there was an obvious one, and it is a bit of a tribute model as well, but I had to pull out this one from the racing set in 2000, I think it was actually 12. Now, of course, this would be Bruce McLaren's GT40. Now, I think Bruce McLaren, this is the color combination, Bruce McLaren race number 2, right? And I think maybe Hot Wheels did this one. I mean, this one screams Bruce McLaren, is it not? And I'm wondering if maybe they did number 12, because maybe this was released in 2012, if I remember correctly. But this is the same set with the Greenwood Corvette, and then we'll actually see another one from this set here in a second. But I thought, since we're talking McLaren, while that isn't a McLaren, and I wanted to stay within brand, but I did think the GT40, Bruce McLaren's GT40, the homage, unless there's a number 12 in gold and black that I'm not aware of, that this is very specific to a racing driver, I have to think that this was an homage to Bruce McLaren, and I think that fits. Now, we only have 3 McLarens, but let's move on to Mercedes-Benz. Now, this is, I think Mercedes Racing might be the treasure trough or the well that I am most excited for Hot Wheels to continue to dig into, because we've got some really good cars, but we could do a billion others, whether it's casting or liveries. And so we have the CLK GTR. Now, the obvious one is to bring out the racing CLK GTR in the D2 livery here. Now, this was Boulevard, and then it was released a second time in Boulevard. But love the casting. It's got the Mobil 1 reference on the spoiler. More Mobil 1 needs, of course, when we get to Porsche, but we don't have that. But that's the D2 livery, which then, of course, leads to this one in the D2 livery. This still remains one of my favorite car culture releases ever. And we've only seen this casting twice. This is the Mercedes-Benz AMG C-Class Racer. And in the D2 wrap that it got is so, so cool. And I love that one. And so that's an obvious Mercedes-Benz AMG Racing model. Of course, we can go all the way back to the 300 SL. And I mean, there's several that we could pick, but we have to pick the most iconic. And that they've done, at least in the premium set. They've obviously had the RLC version. There's the Elite 64 Origins for the IWC watch set, but I went ahead and picked this one as the representation for Mercedes Racing, because it is iconic. And then, I mean, where else could we go? I think clearly I might be forgetting. I only wanted to pick one of each casting. So then we can kind of go, we can stay into AMG Origins, and we can go with the Red Pig. This one is obviously a tribute or homage as well. And another casting that's just so cool. You start digging into Mercedes Racing and AMG Racing, and it gets super, super exciting. And the Red Pig is a fabulous, fabulous model. So that is one in this car show. Can you imagine seeing these at a car show all lined up? I had to get the 190E represented. We've seen more stock versions, but we haven't seen a lot of premium or like racing, but the Momo seem to be, there's the Falcon Racing and maybe a couple others, but I mean, this is a casting that could really get a lot of racing liveries if they wanted to do it. Maybe there's some modifications to the casting to make it proper, but they could do that casting. I don't think anyone would complain. But I went with the Momo Racing. I thought that one was fabulous. Let's add that one to the pile. And then, I mean, we're not going super modern, but, well, we will one time. But I had to pick the Sauber. I went with this livery with the Sauber. It's been released 3 times. I really like this one, but there's any, I mean, we could pick any, really. But I really love the AEG Olympia livery on this one, so I thought the Sauber made a lot of sense right there. And then, of course, we can go ultra modern and then we can go the Mercedes AMG GT3, of course, right here. I picked the IWC because I'm a bit of a homer for IWC, but I also thought this one was cool. My cool little experience drop is that I was at Goodwood, and Mercedes had some pace cars out there that were flying around the track. This one would have made a lot of sense. IWC was there as well. And this one would have been a perfect car for that. So I had to pick this one for our car show as well. Give a little shout out to IWC. I really like that Mercedes set. And then that leads us, of course, to Porsche. We need some room. So let's make some room. And we could go in all kinds of directions. We don't have a racing version. I hope we get a Mobil 1 livery on this one at some point. I hope we get a plain white one eventually. There's so many cars that we could do. Right off the bat, we could just get this one out of the way. Not that I'm complaining about it, but Porsche could go in a million different directions too. And I'm probably underrepresenting Porsche at this point. I'm going to actually do it this way. But we can add Rexy to the list. And then we're going to see a lot of tribute liveries. Of course, I could add the Rally 959. This has the Bilstein, we'll just say Bilstein deco on this one. The 959 Rally is very cool. I would love to see more of was there a 959 actual racing? I don't know if there was. This one, which I think is one of the more underrated Porsches, is the 906 Carrera 6 right here in the Team Transport set that strangely was a peg warming set. But I just think this one, in terms of just like classic race cars, it's just the best. It's just the best. I like doing these car shows because I like putting these together and seeing them together. And I could put more thought into this one. Literally, because I'm in a bit of a transition with my office, I was literally going through the cases I had available and pulling a few out, trying to make sure the cases are represented. Momo, back again with the Porsche 962. I could have gone Advan, but we've done a lot of Advan coverage lately. I could have gone Greddy, but I went with the Momo Deco on this one. That was from one of the original Team Transports. That one is fabulous. Of course, if we're doing the 962, we also need to do the 917 LH. Well, we've seen Golf on this one on premium, and has it just been 2 cars we've seen in premium? But I had to pick this one because it's such a unique racing livery. We're going to be seeing some Porsche racing liveries, and we'll see at the convention, we'll see some previewed. Momo, again, I don't know if you call this a racing livery, but it's the classic Momo, and I had to put it on the Outlaw. But I had to bring that one out to get that casting. I'm already realizing there's one casting I totally forgot about. But if we're doing 917, we also have to do this Golf version. Still wish this casting got an update because we need some big wide tires on the back of that one. But that one is fabulous, and we're already running out of space, so maybe we'll put this one in the pathway. Porsche 935 from that set. Where is it? Oh yeah, from the Bruce McLaren GT40 with the Greenwood Corvette. Then we have this Porsche 935. I could have picked a lot of these. There's some actually more proper ones, but I really like this version, the original of this casting, which I think is really, really pretty in silver with the number 35 on it, sparkled livery. That one is fabulous. And then we end, I don't know if the 993 ever raced in Golf livery, but this one from the RLC in proper Golf livery, I had to pull that one out too because that one looks super cool as well. There is a very nice car show, don't you think? I mean, like I said, there's a million other cars we could add to this, and I get the sense with Ron in charge, there's a million other cars that are gonna come that we can add to this, modern and vintage or classic or whatever you want to call it. But I am very, very excited where we are going, especially with these diorama sets. You guys tell me what you think. You like these little car shows? Do you like the diorama sets? Are you willing to pay, what is it, close to 30 bucks now for these sets? As long as, I mean, new castings and maybe moving away from the carryovers, I'm in. I'm game. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but I think Ron is going to give us what we want, hopefully. Thanks, everybody. Bye.